And I think it's time for a discussion. Why you so hard? Show me that you love me, baby. Why you so hard? Show me that you care. So many days, so many nights, so many tears. I had to cry. Told me you love me. That was a lie. Loving you was a mistake. 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 Play me like guitar, baby.
Hello. We're back.
Play with my emotion, girl. And I don't wanna be your friend.
All right. That was my homie Antonio Marty out of the Raleigh, North Carolina area with Loving You Was a Mistake. Brother saying his heart out. That's some real hurt and some pain. We all have went through it once or twice, but we are here again on another segment of the world famous Chatterbox King Jacob. I'm your host, King Jacob, and we have another star-studded episode this evening. Man, what can I say? Financial expert, Miss Do It All, and she hails from Chicago, Illinois, and so Miss Jamesia Johnai is in the building. What's going on?
All is well. All is well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a
Oh,
minute. It's been a minute. I know we had talked about this for quite some time, and now I finally got you in the building with me. So before we get started into your story,
mhm.
I want to ask a question that inquiry minds wants to know, and it's particularly minds. You know what I mean? Who is Mrs. Jamesia?
Who am I? I am a woman, a young black girl from the west side of Chicago, born and raised. Have a passion for people. Um, Loves to help people. Knew I loved to help people and had to figure out a way to monetize that because a lot of times we help people, right? But the bills still come. But I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, sister, cousin, all of those good things. Have one living grandparent still, and just passionate about my people. Love the west side of Chicago. Nothing against any other side. Love my city. We have amazing food. Just your everyday woman.
Describing Black Queen. I can dig it. I can dig it. And so let's get into your story from you know um, a early young girl growing up in the Windy City. You know,
Mhm.
and how was that for you? That childhood. So what kind of groomed you into the person that you are today?
So my childhood, if I could liken it to a TV show, thinking back, although my parents were not rich, my daddy will tell you that they were not rich, would be like the Cosby Show, though.
Hmm.
Although my dad, blue collar worker, my mom, corporate. So two parent household, grew up in a single family bungalow in Chicago, went to some of tested to get into school. So went to some of the best schools here in the city. My parents both have or grew up or lives in the projects at one point in their lives, both from the west side of Chicago, and just decided they wanted different. They wanted better. My dad is a boomer, and my mom, I think she's a boomer too. I'm not sure. Yeah, my mama, they're both boomers. They're both boomers and just decided they wanted different for their kids. I just talked to my daddy um earlier today. He's like, "When is my 401k plan kicking in?" I'm supposed to be his 401k plan, but Although I grew up on the West Side, my upbringing is a lot like others, but then totally different than some. I took piano lessons, golf lessons on the West Side of Chicago, golf lessons, tennis lessons, ballet, jazz. My mom had me in everything, and just being able to be exposed to different things. But my parents were exposed to different things. My mother's mom, they used to get up and walk from the projects to downtown. Like there's life outside of what you see. And the projects weren't, when they moved in, they weren't in the 70s or 60s what they turned out to be later on in the 80s, 90s. But just being able to see that there are other things outside of your community, your area. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, great, great. So we have another scribe and Black Queen tapping in with us from Buffalo, New York, Miss Natalie India Brooks. Know her for quite some time. I'm gonna definitely plug y'all two together because y'all can definitely do some things. Cause that's what I do. I network and I bring them networks together. So
I
cause
love it.
I want to see all us win for real, for real. So
It's room for everybody.
that's right, that's right, that's right. So now this was so interesting about you. You know what I mean? Um and one of my peoples is checking in, Miss Kimmy K, operations director for the Village Global Network. Just so you know, people going to be hearing you in 191 countries. So
Mm.
it's going to be some waves they're going there. So thank you, Kimmy K, for tapping in. And so piano, golf lessons, tennis
Mhm.
lessons,
Mhm.
understanding the art form of jazz, and that just shows me that you have been into many things even before that you got to become an adult. You was
Mhm.
exposed to a lot of the world. You know what I mean? And so, with that being said, I love it. I love it. So let's talk about how you became this great person. You know, that helped people as far as teaching financial literacy. You're a realtor. You understand business credit and credit repair. You understand the trade lines. You just a serial entrepreneur. And so let's talk about you being a serial entrepreneur.
Sure. You know what? I stumbled upon it. I will say I stumbled upon it, but I do remember growing up, my dad is more 9 to 5. My mom had a 9 to 5, but it was like there are other things out there to explore, right? As far as entrepreneurship, I have a background in human resources, but soon after I graduated from college, so 2004, I thought I was going to become a realtor. Then failed the test. It took me 14 years to go back, but I started to there's information that is missing in the community, right? So I'm gonna take a step back, but keep it short and move it forward. In high school, we had a class specifically for going to college. Like they made sure everybody got accepted. We also received stock in McDonald's. McDonald's had a partnership with our school. So it started off honor roll, you got money, but then you started to get stock. So they're teaching us about the stock market, doing game simulations, and we took classes on literally how to manage money, right? So, although she is in here ear hustling, but I'm gonna tell the truth. My dad was the type when you get a bill, you pay it. Right, as soon as it comes, you pay it, and you pay the whole bill. Don't buy anything you cannot afford. I don't even remember. He may have had one credit card, like a Sears credit card. So he was serious. My father and my mother together paid cash for me to go to U of I, and my dad is a blue collar worker, like blue collar worker. My mother, on the other hand, was like, and she's cracking up over here. Y'all can't hear because I got these cell phones on. Let's just put something on the bill. We might not open the mail for a few months. Them, I know who I owe. I'm gonna get around to them when I get there. I'm a combination of those two, right? So when I went to college, my dad was like, "Don't get any credit cards." I graduated with 7 of them. Seven
Oh,
credit cards in credit card debt. Got out of that on my own. So a part of it is self-teaching, and then understanding though, being raised with the value of savings. My grandmother, my mom's mom, I can't remember the last time she had a job, but she definitely always is gonna have at least $1,000 somewhere saved. That puts her in the 29% of Americans that have $1,000 saved, although she's been on a fixed income for the last 20, 30 years of her life, right? So even with that, because 61% of Americans don't have that. So just learning some of the basic principles from grandparents, parents, etc., and then self knowledge. So going out, it's information. We have the World Wide Web. Going out and getting that information, becoming a realtor, reading books like Think and Grow Rich and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, just reading different books, learning more about money, how money works, and then saying, hey, I want to share this with people. So in 2014, my business started. 2015, I started doing conferences. I brought in people, experts in stocks, credit, real estate, life insurance, different things about money, bring the community together. That's have these conversations. And from that, over time, it's continued to grow. And then I became licensed in real estate and licensed in financial services, and just continuing to learn and just loves to share information, right?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So we're gonna talk about a few topics of discussion. And so, the first topic we'll talk about is understanding what happens when you purchase a home. So
Mm.
it's a lot of people that don't understand opening costs, closing costs, and then a whole lot of people that don't understand after they have been into a home for 20, 25 years, 30 years. Some people never pull the equity out the home, and it's just money just sitting there over a period of time. And I see some of your lives, and I see some things that you talk about. So that's why I want to have that first topic of discussion: home equity. How does it work? What are some things that you have to coach people on? And why has it took our black and brown people so long to understand home equity?
Okay. So let's talk about this, and I'm gonna try and keep these answers short.
No,
We
no,
gotta go back. Don't keep
don't,
them short. Okay,
no.
we got a little
Yeah.
time. So first, we have to go back in history. African Americans could not get mortgages until the Fair Housing Act of 1965. So prior to 1965, if we could not go into a bank and say, "Will you loan me money on a large scale?" Maybe some one-offs, but we couldn't go into a bank and say, "Will you loan me money for this home?" We had to go to the owner of the property or come with the cash for that home, right? So us having to go to the owner of the property, and there's an article out there specifically about Chicago, and there's data and information out there. Now I have to go to the owner of the home. I want to buy your home. So it's pretty much like seller financing, right? So the seller is agreeing to sell their home to this individual prior to 1965. So the individual is paying the seller directly. If I miss a payment, the seller can come and put me out of the home. But what that also did was the seller is building equity, us, the buyers, are not. So just in Chicago, African Americans have missed out on billions of dollars in equity. What can equity do? So I'm going to fast forward, but we're going to bring it back. Equity helps those individuals pay medical debt if they needed to, put their kids through college, help their children start businesses. They were able invest in real estate, right? They were able to, if they had a financial hardship, so to speak, or they needed some money, I can tap into my home to get that money. We couldn't even start to think about doing that till 1965, which was what, 50 years ago? My math might be a little off. 60
Mm-hmm.
years, almost 60 years ago. So they have a head start. So when it comes to home ownership, I come from a family of homeowners. Some people, when you don't see it, you don't think that you can have it, right? And
Right.
then you hear this information out here, you can own for less than rent, which oftentimes can be true. But what's happening right now, I can only speak about Chicago specifically, but I've seen some TikToks of people not in Chicago. I saw a TikTok of a woman in Miami, and she said luckily she has the money, but her mortgage is increasing by $30,000 for the entire year
Hmm.
because her taxes went up, right? So what happens when we buy homes, the average person, let's say, people are attempting to buy without properly saving and being prepared. So you have down payment assistance, things like that that are out there, and this ties into equity. I'll use an example of a client to do it. Because the client got down payment assistance, which they got a good deal. They purchased a two flat in Chicago for 110,000. They received 20,000 in down payment assistance for their two flat. This was before 2020. So during 2020, some people decided to refinance, right? Refinance, they're lowering their interest rate. Some were able to pull some money out because the individual had down payment assistance, they couldn't refinance. We get excited about the free money, which it's not. The down payment assistance is put on the back end of the loan and the interest is higher. So you're going to have a higher interest rate and you're still paying that money back. It's just a gift up front, but it's not really a gift. But this individual also couldn't refinance, or if they acquired equity, they would have to pay back the money they received first before they could tap into it.
Mm.
So a part of it is the it- the process isn't being explained. I literally asked somebody, what are they teaching in home, first time home buyer classes? Because there's a lot that some people don't know. Everybody doesn't have to take a first time home buyer class. I would recommend that any and everybody take a first time home buyer class. A lot of times, if you get down payment assistance or some sort of grant, they require it, but then people also have to pay attention because, yes, your mortgage payment, if you have a fixed interest rate, your principal will never increase. Your principal will never increase. Your interest over time will decrease. But your taxes and insurance, so it's principal, interest, taxes, insurance, it's a petty payment. That's what makes up your mortgage, because most people usually put their taxes and insurance, they pay through escrow. So you're only making one payment. And then if escrow is short, they tell you you need to pay more. If there's a surplus, they send you a check. But taxes can go up, and they do. Homeowners insurance, people are seeing increases anywhere from like 30 to 40% this year. So if I bought at the top of my budget, and I was financially strapped when I bought, an increase of 25, $100 can throw off my whole budget. Other thing is, and I'm gonna get to the equity. When you buy, just because they say you qualify for 250,000, you have to figure out how much payments you can afford. You might want to start now. It's going to be hard to find a house for 150,000 depending on where you are. These are just examples, but you may want to come down 50 or $100,000 if you can, because you need to be focused on your payment. Can I afford the payment? When they approve us for homes, they're looking at our gross income. Unless you bring your gross income home, that's so if you make 60,000 a year, you might be bringing home 40,000. You're
Hmm.
approved off the 60, but you only bring home 40. So you need to think about your payment based on the 40, not the 60, right? And then over time, you should ideally be gaining equity in the home. So your equity is what you purchased it for minus what you owe or what it's worth. Let me correct that. What the home is valued at or worth minus what you owe. So if it's worth 200,000 and you owe 150,000, you have $50,000 worth of equity in your home. My suggestion would be to leverage the equity to buy other assets. So if you want to now go out and buy a multi-unit because you want your money to work for you, because you do have to pay that money back, right? You're now taking out another loan. In order to qualify, though, you pretty much have to qualify like you're buying a house. So let's say I have lost my job, I'm unemployed, I have equity in my home, and I want to access my equity. The lender is going to say no
Mm.
because I don't have a job, I don't have income.
Okay.
If I have equity in my home and my credit score is 500, the lender may say no. It's almost like you have to qualify to buy a home to access equity, and you have to at least have 20% for the most part of equity in a home for the lender to even consider allowing you to do a home equity line of credit or refinance, things of that nature.
Oh wow. Whew. So it's a lot of stuff that not just black and brown people don't know, but just a lot of people from all different nationalities don't know. You know, about purchasing a home, about paying attention to what's going on with the home. Like, say if it's from a homeowners association, those those laws are uh, those disciplinary actions, change so much with a homeowners association. So versus, being with a homeowners association, then, like, would you tell someone to buy a home that's through a homeowners association? Because the stories I've heard from homeowners associations and the rules and the regulations of them is it's kind of like you imprisonment because you're with the association. You know what I mean?
So I'm glad you asked this question. One, most condos will have a homeowners association with it, right? So a lot of times condos, townhomes, and some single family home communities may have a homeowners association. Talking about condos, I'm not anti-condo, that's not what I'm saying, but let's talk about it. The condo, you have your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, but now you've added on homeowners association, right? So homeowners association, it's $200 a month, $500, whatever it is. Something happens to the roof, they put an assessment on, or something just happens to the property. They put an assessment out. Now your homeowners association dues go up. So ideally your mortgage payment is going up because everybody in the condo building is responsible for the roof in certain common areas. If somebody drives a car through the lobby, everybody has to pay for that. And then the homeowners association needs to have longevity. And there's a word that's escaping me. There's a term that you look at when considering buying with a homeowners association, pretty much making sure their finances are in order and they have money in reserves, things of that nature. Again, I love TikTok. Please forget. But I literally saw a woman who lost her house because she owed money to the homeowners association. So when you say read the fine print, people have to read the fine print. One, you can lose your house. I tell people if it's between paying your taxes and paying your mortgage, depending on where you are, pay your taxes. You can lose your house faster if you don't pay your taxes than if you don't pay your mortgage. Because the county or wherever you live has first rights. And you can lose your home, but you still owe for the home because the loan is with the bank, but the county took your house because you
Mm.
didn't pay your taxes. But back to these homeowners associations. I'm not totally for it, but what I would say is read everything, read the fine print, understand how that potential homeowners association works, what you can and cannot do, because they dictate what you can and cannot do with your home or your property. If it's a single family home, make sure you understand you want to abide by all of those things, because people have lost their homes because they owed the homeowners, so not their mortgage, not their taxes, not their insurance, but because they were assessed fines through the homeowners association, didn't pay them, and their house was foreclosed on.
Mm. So that right there is something that you covered that I wanted you to cover about the homeowners, because I had these stories about the homeowners association. I hear people complain about them all the time. So we're gonna take it over to people, three people that people don't like messing with. That's the I, the R, and the S. So we gonna talk about the benefits of navigating through the RS website.
Mm.
So in the RS website, no matter what state you're from, they have a list of homes that haven't been, the taxes haven't been paid. They have a lot of stuff on there that can benefit Americans. That can benefit people that we call home developers, people who say they want to flip houses. So navigating through their website and finding these homes that you can purchase. I know that you can purchase the home, and I know that you can fix them up, and I know that the current person or family that owns the home has a year to reclaim it. But I also know whatever you put in it, they have to pay you back that, and they also have to pay you back, those taxes that you purchase. But those, it's not just that one time tax. It's, you got to pay those taxes for each month that that particular person owned the home. And so, do you think it's beneficial for a realtor like yourself to go on there and find foreclosed homes and to pay the tax liens on them and to flip those houses? Because I was talking to one person and she said she, just through the IRS website, she has acquired over 70 homes and owns about
Mhm.
70 homes right now. So can you chime in on that a little bit?
Sure. So purchasing tax liens is a strategy that some people do use. What I will say is the redemption period varies based on the county. So in Chicago, it is a year and a half. The
Okay.
homeowner has a year and a half. But if you go over to Gary, Indiana, it's like 3 months or something like that. Don't hold me to that. So the redemption period and the process will vary based on the county. Now, there are places, let's say Illinois, if I'm in Chicago and a hot uh, uh, zip code, you want to make sure you pay your taxes. What's a hot zip code? Surprise, like a 60651, 60644, 60612. If you're in Chicago, if you don't pay your taxes, somebody is waiting for you not to pay your taxes and they're going to pay them, right?
Are you
So
talking
what
about
happened?
Are you
Mhm.
talking about a place like Hyde Park or Harvey, Illinois, or Bennettsville, or what, like what particular places are you talking about?
West Side,
Oh,
South Side,
okay,
Bronzeville,
got it.
um, Harvey is making a comeback. It's gonna take a little time, right? But when it comes to where I purchased a tax lien, look at the block. How many vacant homes are on that block? What a family wants to live here? Is there a school in the area? Is there transportation? So when certain people, almost every major metropolitan city is seeing more development because people are moving back to the city, right? Millennials and any generation after, many of them don't want to live in the suburbs like their parents. Although you have some, again, I'm in Chicago, people that are like, no, I don't want to live in the city. I want to move to the suburbs. That's fine. A lot of African Americans move to the south suburbs and their taxes are increasing and it's going, I know a woman who has an investment property on the south side of Chicago. Her taxes increased $19,000 for the year. That's over $1,000 for a month. She can afford to pay that. But somebody that can't, there are investors waiting for the opportunity to simply buy the property for the taxes. Don't always have to rehab. You can buy it for the taxes, hold on to it. If it's in an area that somebody else wants to buy and rehab, flip and make a little money without even rehabbing it. If the owner redeems and makes good on their taxes, the investor will get their money back plus interest. So it's a win-win situation for the most part, as long as you're choosing to buy in the right area. With that being said, buyer beware. A good friend of mine on Facebook has a tax lien group. This is her specialty. A buyer, I don't remember the state, bought a home and did not realize that the house and the driveway had two different PIN numbers. So he purchased the home through a tax lien. Somebody else owns the driveway. And the county is like, y'all can figure it out. You should have read. So you better read, understand all the PIN numbers. So there needs to be some sort of level of research and understanding. It's not just, oh, I can get this property on a tax lien. No, read the documents, search PIN numbers, become just serious about whatever it is you're getting involved in, because and there was another man. Now this was in Florida. He thought he was buying a plot of land, but he ended up just buying land in between two houses, and there's nothing he can do with it. But the county is like, you bought it, because he bought it through a tax lien, saw it on an auction, oh, thinking I'm getting one thing, but not taking time to research to really see what they were getting. So it's definitely a strategy. And let me say this, I'm not saying I'm a fan of the National Association of Realtors. Before they existed, the rule of thumb in real estate was buyer be damned. Now it is buyer beware. Real estate is dog eat dog. If you don't read, if you don't understand, somebody might take advantage of you. That could be a real estate agent, loan officer, attorney, seller, anybody in the mix. Make sure you fully understand, ask as many questions as you need to ask, research what you can, and be careful.
Okay. So the next thing I'm gonna ask you about when it comes to your financial expertise is community grants. Um, well, community home development grants, and what I mean by that, I know
Hmm.
in Atlanta, in Philadelphia, in New Jersey, um, certain parts of Crenshaw, in LA, and in certain parts of Connecticut, like Bridgeport, Connecticut. They have these old condemned apartments, you know, that's a fixer uppers, but they have some type of new program if you become a community developer homeowner. You get such and such money to fix these houses. I mean, some of these houses like what 40, 50 apartments in one unit, one, two, and three bedroom apartments. So when it comes to something like that, what would you say about a person who's going into that line of work in that business? You know, what do they need to look at? What are the bullet points they have to have together before they make any sudden moves?
As far as utilizing those type of programs or buying the property
Both.
specifically, both. So what I will say is HGTV, right? Flip this house, all of that, because you're pretty much talking about properties that require rehab work,
Right.
right? Okay. We used to do events called It's Not HGTV. First thing you need to have if you're thinking about rehabbing is relationships with contractors, but you also need to have general knowledge of how the rehab process works. What do I mean by that? Have people, oh, Jamesia, I want to fix and flip. Do you know any contractors? And do you know this? No, my contractor is going to do everything. Your contractor will take your money, buyer beware, and leave you almost high and dry. Okay. You need to be able to pop up every day at different times, you or somebody you know, to make sure the contractors are doing what they're supposed to do. You need to have an understanding of the timeline of how things work. Example, here in Chicago, if I'm rehabbing in the wintertime, I have to have gas on before I paint. I don't want to paint in a home in the wintertime and there's no heat in the home because the paint may chip or get destroyed. So it's little things that people need to understand outside of I have the money and the credit to purchase this property and I'm going to rely on my contractors to do everything. Not saying all contractors are bad, that's not what I'm saying. As the investor, I need to have some sort of knowledge or work with somebody that has knowledge. When it comes to the different programs, absolutely take advantage of them. Chicago, what we're seeing in some of these areas, and I'm not sure if you're fully aware, but there's an area called Woodline. You mentioned Hyde Park. Woodline is
Right.
kind of right outside of
I'm familiar with your
Hyde
area.
Park, right?
I'm yeah, I'm familiar with your area. I have a lot of friends or colleagues that's football coaches.
Right.
Cause I'm a recruiter for junior college football. So a lot of my friends out there in Bloomington, Illinois, and they complain about how the taxes went up. Some of the friends in I think is what Country Club Hills, they complain about how the taxes go up, and a lot of my friends out in Hyde Park have been complaining about how the taxes has went up. So I'm familiar with those areas, and it's amazing how the taxes go up. I just interviewed um, the history of black firefighters on last week, and I had retired fire chief DeCal Wilcott on there, and he was just telling me about some of the situations they had been in with him being, a fire chief in some of the places that the homes are in, and he kind of questioned who did the electrical work as far as in those high end places like Bloomington and places like that. And so when you say how the taxes has went up and it depending on the place, yeah, of course it depends on the place, but
Mm-hmm.
in the poverty communities or in the communities that be the last ones to get the governmental grant money, um, there's a lot of condemned apartment buildings, a lot of condemned houses, and a lot of condemned commercial properties with the boards over them. So
Mm-hmm.
is that right there with the business funding? Is that a way that you can get these things back up and running, or do the people that's giving out the business funding stay away from certain areas because the areas that they see they think is going to be too much crime and chaos, or they really don't think that people are going to be warm and welcome and come through there and spend money with you. So how does debt play a factor in when getting these grants?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So I will say this. In short, no, but I'm gonna make it long. So, Woodline, it ties into what I was saying. I became a realtor in 2017. I'm from the west side. Woodline is on the south side. I'm driving through Woodline. There's a billboard that says Renew Woodline. They were giving grants up to $75,000 to purchase a single family home. Single family home means like bungalow, two flat, three flat, four flat, townhouse in Woodline. If you qualify to buy, so many of us did not take advantage because of what you said about what the area was, not paying attention to what the area will be. Every city has a department of planning. They plan out what's going on with their city 20, 30, 40 years out. Go down to the department and figure out what's going to be happening in your city in what particular area. Pay attention to what you see, not what you hear. Why are they putting bike lanes in this community? Why are certain businesses opening up in this community? I can't even think right. Inglewood in Chicago was one of the worst neighborhoods. People don't want to live. Ever since I became a realtor, I've been telling people to invest in Inglewood. Some of our people don't want to invest in these communities. Now, if you have PTSD and different things from these communities, I get it. But there's value in the city. People don't want to live in the suburbs. The cities are coming back. Inglewood could be what, 55th, right off the expressway. I can bike, I can get on the train, I can get on the bus to go to work. So it's been 20 years since Inglewood had a sit down restaurant. They're opening a sit down restaurant. They built a new high school in Inglewood. It opened up around 2019, 2024. They put a brewery in Inglewood. Why are they investing in this community? Why are there bike lanes in this community? Maybe this is somewhere I should invest and buy because somebody wants to live there and rent, even if I don't want to. There are people that live there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for Woodline. Hyde Park, the University of Chicago used to tell their students, don't go south of XYZ. University of Chicago is now heavily invested in Woodline. Homes are selling in Woodline for five, six, seven, $800,000. But just 7 years ago, they were giving away money to buy.
Mm.
Sometimes we're not interested. It was called the Micro Market Recovery Program. That program has a new name here in Chicago, but they were given up to $15,000 to live in some of, I won't say less desirable, but that included Bronzeville in certain areas, grants to buy, to move and live in these areas. Now, first catch is originally it has to be a conventional loan. Most of our people end up going FHA. Why? Because we have a credit problem or we have a capital problem. So, a part of the problem is we're not financially where we need to be to
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of some of these programs. In Chicago, there's something called the Cook County Land Bank. They have land for sale. $5,000, 10,000. I haven't been on their website in a while. They've want my um, mortgage broker bought a condo on 41st and King Drive for $20,000. Rehabbed it. She put in about, let's say, 70 to 100, so 120 all in. It
Mm-hmm.
sold for $250,000. She
Well,
flipped it. So it's programs out there. We need to save money. We need to get our credit together, or we need to connect with people who have money, or I got money, you got credit, and figure out how to take advantage of these programs. We have the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. They're giving up to $250,000 to businesses that are in certain areas on the south sides and west sides. So there is money being invested into our communities. Some of us are unaware. So glad you're watching this. And feel free to contact me, ask me any questions, search this information, and just being open to new information because it's definitely out there.
well, this is what you know. I'm an entertainment guy, but I'm also a business savvy guy that study multiple levels of business. You know, so this is what I do know about Chi-Town, and this is what I do know about the demographics. Chicago has it's got over three professional sports teams. So I know any
Mhm.
demographics that got over three professional sports teams is a high end market. And Chicago is three radio, the number three radio market in the United States of America.
Mm,
And so And so you only have five predominant radio markets, and Chicago is number three. You know, you have Atlanta, L.A., Chicago, New York, and Washington D.C., which are all big metropolitan areas. And so in another thing that I want to say to you
Mhm.
as a business professional, and I know you pay attention to this now through the Chicago Board of Education
Oh
and through
Lord.
some of the programs that you know about that you can get involved in. Do you think that you could ever teach in the school system? Maybe it won't be a curriculum, but maybe they can contact you and have this to be a part of voc rehab, or a part of a elective for school. So is that
Mm.
something that you would be open to as a business professional?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, April is Financial Literacy Month. So every Tuesday in April, it's a charter school though. I'm going to break that down. I'll be in a charter school for 5 weeks, a pilot program with one of the administrators there, faculty. We have a personal relationship. A part of the problem is she has to convince the school that the children need financial literacy. So it's a pilot program, and if it goes well, potentially we'll be in that school. Another friend of mine is a principal of a charter school, and I'm gonna break down why I'm specifying that charter part. There's a financial literacy program in her school. So yes, I'm absolutely open to it. There is a one you have to become a vendor with the Chicago Public Schools, which is fine because they want to do background checks and all of that. You can't just have anybody in the school, which makes total sense.
Hmm.
But then them seeing the value. Can I just be real on here?
Please do, please do.
Okay. The goal is to create a permanent underclass. The goal is not to help us get into a position to be financially stable. I'm not saying it's not possible. This is not the odds are stacked against us, but we have overcome a lot of things. But the things that we need to know to adult and be successful in life, we're not getting in schools. And when we have this information and this knowledge, which I feel like is a part of the reason why they want to ban TikTok, not going to go down that, there's a problem because we're empowered, right? So once upon a time, you had my friend graduated from high school in 1998. She was a LPN graduating from high school. That put her in position to always have a job. There was trades in the schools. Why did they take those out? And I know we're talking about financial literacy because our young men could go and get jobs even though they were blue collar, make decent money, young men and women, and take care of their families. Then it was go to college. I'm not against college. I have 2 degrees. But yes, this was a long answer. I apologize. Yes, I'm open
You
to
good?
going
You good?
into schools. I've reached out to principals of like private schools, charter schools. I am actually a contractor with a nonprofit that does financial literacy classes in the schools, but our classes will start in like May. They do all year round. It's myself and another individual with credit. So yes, I will, and those are CPS schools, I believe. So we will be in some CPS schools, and I'm open to expanding and going to other schools.
Okay, great. So in your greater in the Illinois area, the whole state, um, you are a financial literacy expert. An economic investor. You know, um, you you really, it's a lot of jewels that you have. In your membrane that you can drop on others to really give them a better chance at life in how they value money, how they see money, and how they even spend money.
Mhm.
And so with that being said, what would you say about across America, not just Illinois, but across America? Would you
Mhm.
agree or wouldn't you agree that every school should have a STEM program?
Should every science, technology, energy? Yes, yes, yes. There is a company called Urban Intellectuals. Um, the name of their program is called Black Math Genius. They
Hmm.
were accused of being, I cannot think of the term, but it went political. But literally, they say that our children's future income is dependent upon how well they are in math, which is a part of STEM, right?
Yes.
And then of course they base prison populations, things like that, off of reading scores. Although we don't want to leave out the arts. So now some people say STEAM, science, technology, what is it, engineering, arts, math. Because what happens is we don't want to focus too much on STEM because then there'll be lack in the arts. The thing with school though is we need to learn to be prepared, but we also need to start teaching our kids you can get a job, but you can also start a business. There are other ways to make money outside of your job. So don't necessarily go into the career just for the money,
Hmm.
but be cognizant of, why am I going to a college paying $200,000 a year to get a psychology degree when I can go to another college and pay 50,000 for the whole 4 years for that same degree, right? So literally looking at the ROI, the return of investment, but definitely STEM should be in schools, but we got to teach the babies how to read first. Some of our students are getting to high school. I don't know if anybody's listening or when you listen. I went to a Panera once and my bill, let's say it was $9.51. And I gave that young lady $10. And I was in a non predominantly black suburb. And the receipt, the computer broke. That baby could not figure out my change. And
Mm.
I was just standing there watching it in awe. And she wasn't even an African American. And I'm like, what they, so yes, but they have to learn the basics.
Well, I can tell you this. I don't know how it is nowadays, but when I was growing up, we was already, by the time I got to kindergarten, I was already reading fluently because my granny used to read the Bible to us when we was babies, and by the time we was 2 or 3, she would read a scripture, and if we couldn't say the words, she would say them with us, and she said, "Baby, you read it back to me," and so that's how we learn how to read. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So with that being said, I kind of think the old school methods of how, as kids we got read to, and by the time you got through, she said, "What did I say?" I know I'm gonna read it to you again, and you better tell me everything I said or else. Just a little tough love. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think that worked. But my last question before we get off of here is when it when it comes to the housing authority of the United States of America Housing Authority. When it comes to like Future Homeowners of America, when it comes to the first time home buyers program, the single mothers program, the single fathers program, when it comes to all that intel about those programs, how much in the business rooms when these programs are being created at the round table with the PowerPoint presentation with the higher ups, is it more political? Is it more financial? Or is it based more on um, the statistics of what neighborhoods are going to thrive to spend money?
As far as being able to purchase or?
As far as everything is political, but sometimes it's political and we don't see it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like anything that's got to do with money is going to be political, regardless of what we think is going to be political. Just like all these subdivisions that's going up all across America, it's some political things in that black fine print that we don't understand. And so, would you say, um, before purchasing a home or before you know per- buying some tax liens to flip houses, do do we consult with a real estate attorney? Like, how how prevalent is a real estate attorney overall, whether you are
Mhm.
purchasing a home, or whether you studying to flip houses, or you rehabbing a home, or you just becoming a a economic home developer. So how important is that real estate attorney in your opinion?
It's very important to have a real estate attorney. As I mentioned earlier, they read over the contracts depending on the type of state that you live in. So, Illinois, we close with title companies. I believe in Georgia, you close with an attorney. That's how you close, at an attorney's office. So, having somebody that's looking over, reading that fine print, but also making sure you're reading those things. Is it political? Absolutely. Have you heard of BlackRock, the company
I,
BlackRock?
I have.
Okay. They're buying up a lot of real estate. So a lot of people are waiting on a crash like 2008. It's not coming. You're going to be waiting. They are looking to create permanent renters. Not only that, so Ford used to be a company that gave out the majority of mortgages. They used to give mortgages to their employees.
Hmm.
There's a company, and I'm sorry because I have a lot of information in my head, but I will come back and comment. But there is a company now, it's a major company that's looking to give mortgages to their employees. But now you're kind of tied into that job because your mortgage is through the job,
Mm. Wow.
right? So slavery can be recreated in some ways. So is it political? Absolutely. Anytime there's money involved, whether the leaders at the table look like us or not, because I've been a part of some conversations and sat in some rooms here in the city. I'm in business with somebody that was a community activist that was down in Springfield and just was able to see different things. So is it political? Yes, definitely read up, trust. Something somebody told me a long time ago, trust but verify, right?
Hmm.
So even if the attorney says this, verify. Like, don't, because once you sign off on that paperwork, whatever it is, that property is now yours. Like the man that has the house but doesn't have the driveway. So now there's a fight, and the county is like, sucks to be you. You should have read it. Would an attorney have helped him out? Maybe, maybe not. Make sure. But let me say this, just because your auntie husband is a lawyer, if they don't practice real estate law, that's not the lawyer for you. Find someone that practices real estate law, that's a real estate attorney only. Not, hey, they're a lawyer, so because they're a lawyer, they're going to help me with real estate. It is very, very important that you actually work with somebody that specializes in, lives, eats, and breathes real estate law. Not just any attorney, but somebody that does real estate law that's a real estate attorney.
All right. So, man, you tapped in with the Chatterbox with King Jacob, sponsored by Squiddy PR firm, powered by the Village Global Network, now in the 191 countries and counting. Um, you can catch us on Zeno FM with online additional monitoring stations by online radio box. Welcome, welcome, and we look forward to you tuning in. And of course, I have the lovely Miss Jamesia. Jonah, listen, she got so many jewels, man, listen, and I'm gonna tell you, for your folks that's listening, for your folks that's watching, and for your parents, they raised somebody that's really really remarkable in all aspects of life. And don't forget to download the VGN, the Village Global Network app. You can download the app, catch all the shows. And there's going to be more shows coming and more creatives coming. So, and hopefully, Miss Jamesia be one of the creatives that's coming too. So, I'm gonna kind of drill that. I've been telling her for about a year that she need her own podcast because she got so many jewels and so much wisdom, and it'll be very impactful to have some of the guests on her that's in her field, that kind of sees it different from an educational standpoint of view and from a hands-on standpoint of view. So it'll be very informative to people that wants to know, and everybody want to know about the real estate, about the laws of real estate, on how you can flip houses and how you can rehab houses, and how you can purchase land. You know what I mean? How you can, and the operation director is on here, and here's what she said. If you can read that.
That would be fabulous. The village doors are open. Absolutely. Just invite me back. We can definitely talk about it, have a conversation. And if you're open to some special guests, I have a friend that had moved to Mexico. She owns two plots in Inglewood, all in for like $20,000. Two plots. She bought them for 1,400, but dealing with attorneys and going through the whole process, it cost her about 20,000. But through a auction, tax lien sale, she was able to buy two plots of land in Chicago and Inglewood for $1,400.
I would love to have her on. Just definitely, definitely. So, for the people who want to connect with you, get up with you, and just maybe want to book you for a conference, and maybe want to, book you for a virtual Zoom session, where you can talk to people and stuff like that, and tell them where they can reach you at, and like I say, man, shout out to the people that instilled this greatness in you because it starts from at home child so shout out to your parents for instilling those magnificent jewels inside of you, and shout out to you for taking the jewels even farther than anybody thought you could.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So on Facebook and on Instagram, my name is Jamesia Johnai. You can follow me on Facebook. We might be able to be friends. I'm almost at the friend limit. But my links, you can text me. My business line is 773-669-8151. You can text or call that number, but all of my information is on my Facebook bio, my Instagram bio, and it's just at Jamesia Joe. Uh, I'll follow back. Love to connect with you. If you want to talk more, get a free consultation. I'm open to having a conversation with anybody. So again, you can text me or call. Text is best though. 773-669-8151, or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram.
Well, you heard it first. And don't, if you go to her Facebook and it says about, scroll down to where you see the link tree and tap on that, and it's going to tell you everything you want to know and need to know about her,
Yes, it will.
including the events that she's did in the past and some that she have coming up. And so, if you're in that Chicago metropolitan area or surrounding states like Kentucky and Ohio and Indiana, feel free to join her, and so you can get a full glimpse her live in person and get the raw and uncut version instead of just on the telephone. So tap in with her link tree, and I'm pretty sure you can find her on LinkedIn as well. So.
Yes, I am on LinkedIn as well. Might be a little harder to find me, but I'm on there.
Okay, okay, okay. So, are there any particular shout outs that you want to give?
Shout outs. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Shout out to you. Thank you. And the Village Global Network for having me on. Although they are not on social media, shout out my mama and daddy um, for mixing this all together. And shout out to you who are listening that are going to take some sort of action to research and just learn more. It is possible for you to invest, save, build wealth, create whatever it is that you want to do. You just got to network, get connected with the right people, utilize the information, and take action. So, shout outs to everyone that takes some sort of action from this podcast today or any other that the Village Global Network has, and Mr. King Jacob.
Appreciate it, appreciate it. And so I just want to say shout out to some of my day ones for tapping in, man. Ken Etheridge, Corey Daniels, Crisis Bryant, Tracy Palmore. Thanks fellas for tapping in, man. From from the sandbox days, and our parents rock with one another and grandparents. So shout out to some of my day ones for tapping in with me. I definitely appreciate it. And so this concludes this segment, and I just want to say thank you to all the viewers at home, and thank you for being a phenomenal person that dropped so many jewels. And I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna be getting some inboxes about the jewels that you dropped. And so just be prepared because we'll definitely be in touch. So continue to have a blessed and a productive week, and we out of here.
Awesome. Thank you. You too.
All right.